Hey, it's Soul, and welcome to the Shadowlands Alpha guide slash preview of the different layouts in Torghast, the upcoming Endless Dungeon. Here I'm going to give you a very high level rundown of what to expect in each region, a bestiary of sorts, of some of the enemies that you'll be encountering, and how to handle them. Today we visit the region of Mort'regar. Quick reminder though, this is an alpha guide, so this information is hardly complete, but it should give you an idea of what's to come. Count on a revision of this series of guides as we get closer to launch, and once it's out, it will be plastered all over the description below this video. The area known as Mort'regar actually sits outside of Torghast's main walls, and it gives off an air of hopelessness for anyone who thinks they can escape. And it gives a sense of the impossible size of Torghast and the maw where it's located. If you find yourself in Mort'regar, you can expect a mix of narrow bridges and traversing across rocky outcroppings, and exploration will be rewarded with a lot of trap damage. Because a unique and deadly feature of Mort'regar is that nearly all of the mobs that you kill here will leave a pool of death, aptly called a death pool, after several seconds, which deals constant ticking damage and persists for upwards of 5 minutes. Not only that, it grows to a really uncomfortable size, so reckless fighting will leave you running out of room really quick. Because of how long they last, they can also make exploring, backtracking, and running back from a wipe a really big pain. Fortunately, there is a way to completely negate or counter this effect with an anima power called Purifier's Flame, that not only stops you from taking damage from these pools, but they instead heal you, and make these pools shrink and then eventually disappear. So if you happen to see this power while climbing Mort'regar, you'll make your climb that much easier. If you're in a group, I would recommend having at most one person with this power so they can dispel these traps for the rest of the team. Now let's take a look at some of the mobs. Deadsoul Shadows and Shades are the melee grunts of Mort'regar. They have a buff called Soul Drinker that makes their third melee attack inflict 200% extra physical damage. These guys are almost ignorable unless you're at very low health, when you'd better watch out because you could get spiked to death. Deadsoul Drifters are a little bit less basic. They use an ability called Shadow Slice that deals damage over a long period of time. They're also not that big of a deal, just keep an eye on your debuffs. Deadsoul Spirits are the spellcasting grunts of Mort'regar. They cast Shadow Bolt, which does low to moderate damage. The most dangerous thing about them are the death pools that they leave behind after death, which are a little bit harder to manage because they are ranged casters, so just watch out where you're killing these mobs so you don't cut yourself off. Deadsoul Scavengers don't do much to you, but they're close to your highest priority target because of how they buff their allies. They cast Phasing Roar. Enemies within 25 yards will take 80% reduced damage for 6 seconds. Keep an eye out for these and make sure that these targets go down first. Losing them in a big pull and allowing them to get a cast off will leave you pretty disappointed for 6 seconds. Fog Dwellers are sort of hidden monstrosities that you'll typically find lying in wait in front of an anima power. These things aren't super sturdy, but pay attention. They cast Torturous Leer, which hits you and nearby targets for moderate to high channeled damage. To avoid it, just kick the ramp up cast or the channel. These mobs can appear in other regions of Torghast as well, so be wary when you see an anima power that looks like it's just free for the taking. It probably isn't. Deadsoul Shamblers are a step up from the basic Shadows and Shades I mentioned earlier. Their fearsome howl is your typical AoE fear that can be interrupted. Ghastly Wail isn't so special, this just slows you down, but combined with abilities from other mobs, this can be pretty painful. Deadsoul Echoes are a bit deadlier of a caster. It casts 2 spells. Shadowbolt Volley is, it's Shadowbolt Volley. You kick it to avoid group damage, or you leave it alone if you happen to be on your own and you think you can handle it. Discordant Barrage is a small AoE that you can avoid, just to keep moving. Now for the elites. Deadsoul Devils cast Curse of Frailty, which increases your damage taken by 50% for a long time, so watch out if you're fighting this guy in a pack. It also casts Soul Blast Nova, which isn't so bad as long as you don't let that curse go off. The worst part about this guy though is that it will always revive 30 seconds after death and be restored to half health, so get away from this one as soon as you drop it. Deadsoul Stalkers are they're the worst, but I think they're bugged. They don't do much, but they periodically vanish for roughly 30 seconds, and I haven't found a way to detect them. From dropping AoE to flares to spectral sight, stalkers just can't be targeted at all while stealthed, even though you can clearly see their silhouette. There's not too much more I can say about these guys because I expect its behavior to be changed as we get further along in development. Otherwise, just kill it. Deadsoul Miscreations don't do a lot except they lay down death pools all over the place. This guy can be really bad news if you're fighting other mobs, but on the other hand, if you have the Purifier's Flame buff, this guy is a source of endless healing pools, so handle him quick or use him to lay down some friendly healing. Chances are pretty good that the pools that it lays down are going to be nerfed somehow, because if you leave them just kind of sitting there throwing down pools forever and ever, your system will lag and eventually crash your machine, so watch out. Deadsoul Choruses cast one ability, and that's called Death Blast, which applies a stacking buff that reduces your healing by up to 100% at 4 stacks, and it lasts a while, so try to fight this mob alone if possible. Mort'regar is a region full of shadow damage and a lot of crap on the ground to avoid. Anima powers to pick up here include those that help reduce magic damage, but if you can score a Purifier's Flame, all the better. One good tip is to pick up a Ravenous Anima Cell from the Phantasm vendor to turn mobs into anima powers. There's a pretty good, maybe even guaranteed chance that the anima powers obtained this way are going to be specific to the region that you're fighting in, so keep that in mind. Otherwise, it'll also be helpful to have powers that up your speed to avoid pools or swirlies. My favorite is to pick up Negation Well, which gives you a jump similar to having Scorched Feet in Horrific Visions, except that it's your own and it's not going to kill you, maybe. It does take some getting used to, but it makes you extremely mobile, much more mobile than speed boosts. That's about all the information that I can get from testing at this early stage, but again, you can count on updated guides as we get close to the Shadowlands launch. For now though, I hope that this was useful, or helpful, or entertaining, or something, and it gives you an idea of the dangers that await you in this part of Torghast. Please leave a like and a comment, let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe for more of this and all things Warcraft. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.